3, 2, 1, needle pod. Here we are.
Yes.
We're back in action. Paul and Ellie coming off of some teaching weekend. So what we wanted to do today is just talk about our different courses, how the weekends went, and what that kind of looks like. Just a little chit chat between two friends in the dry needling space.
Just a little weekend report, little debrief.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you and I do often, but yeah,
Mhm.
we're going to do it on a microphone this time.
Yeah.
Recorded for your listening pleasure.
Just see how things went. I think I had some good conversations with a colleague last night. Wow. About some highs, some lows, all of those things. So I think that'll be good to dive into. But I guess let's start there. Do you have any highs and lows of well, tell us what course you taught this weekend. Let's start there. And then
Yeah.
give me a high from you, a low from you, and then one thing that you feel like hit the hardest with your participants.
Man. So yeah, great weekend to do our debrief because I was on an advanced course in Columbus, Ohio. You were on Pelvic, which is going to be cool because, I mean, if you're listening and have been in a course with us, chances are it was upper and lower. So maybe even part of this, the value here is hearing what we cover on advanced and Pelvic. But yeah, for me, I love advanced, and it's not just like getting into like more nuanced techniques and I guess deeper conversations, maybe more technical skills. But I mean, before I even get there with my excitement, I love that these are familiar faces. I mean, we don't require upper and lower for advanced, but we require one of them. So it's a room full of folks that have, heard the eSTEM playbook from upper and lower. I had been in Columbus for an upper, I believe, and then you were there for lower. So, I mean, a lot of this crew is the local Columbus crowd. So it's just awesome, first of all, to see folks. I mean, still, that is always big picture why I love what I do. I mean, I think it's a highly valuable skill. I love like the technique aspect of it and teaching that, but really it's the people you meet along the way. So, I mean, you get excited even leading up to the weekend. And this was an awesome crew. Affiliate PT is where we were, which Mandy and her crew there, affiliate being directly attached to CrossFit Grandview. So they've got an awesome model there, but she's built a great team. She's hosted us many times. So for lots of reasons, I was excited for this one. Highs and lows. I mean, it was high to start with, just going back there. We had a great workout.
What was your workout? Talk me through that.
Well, I mean, CrossFit Grandview is a massive gym, not just like, it's like a local CrossFit gym. It's like, it's one of the gyms.
Yeah.
So we had all the toys, all the space. There was 16 of us plus Pat and I, so 18 of us. And we went, normally, we do the partner, like you go, I go, like build in some rest. But we went full gut check.
You did the whole gut check. Awesome.
Solo mission.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on when you're listening to this, it was last week. I mean, at the time of this recordings, barbell hang clean, pull-ups, box jumps. And, he did 3 rounds, then got on the bike, 30 cals on the bike, then did 2 rounds, then got on the bike, and then 1 round.
How long did it take you?
Just shy of 9 minutes, 8:55.
Wow. Okay.
Which honestly, that was way better than the time I had set in my head, but McSweeney beat me by 10 seconds. I mean, that was the driver there. And I mean, he's a cardio hound. I mean, I knew he would do a little better on the bike, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah. What was his barbell weight though?
He did RX 135.
Okay. Good for him.
But he was starting to fade though. He had to break. He had to break on the hang cleans and the pull-ups. So if I had another round, or if we went 3-2-1 and then 2-3 back up, I would have had him for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah. How much sweat was accumulated between the two of you?
Quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
notoriously, you guys are the sweatiest of the crew.
It's got slippery. Luckily, it was only like box jump overs, not burpee box jump overs.
Yes.
Things like the slickness of the surface becomes a barrier for sure.
That's true. All right.
So, I mean, that was a high point for sure. Let me think of a low point. I want to give you something real. I mean, nothing like good news, nothing sticks out. No crazy events happen. But yeah, let me think about that. And you have to tee up your course. Give us if you have a high and a low, but where were you at?
I was in Virginia Beach at Onward Virginia Beach with Kirsten. Kirsten's in the works of potentially becoming one of Pelvic Dry Needling's teaching assistants. So that was really fun to, be there with her, just, looking at her skills and things like that. And she's a very skilled dry needler and treats in the pelvic space. So I think she's going to be a great addition to the team when that happens.
Hell yeah.
2-day course, which we get into, we start with some, what's unique about this course is there isn't a ICE prerequisite required.
Mm-hmm.
It is required to have some dry needling experience in your toolbox, but we've taken off that barrier for people to enter. We're getting a lot of questions about, can you take this if you've taken X, Y, and Z? And so I feel that it is such a important area that we wanted to open it up to some more participants. With that being said, I think one thing that I did differently this weekend is I did kind of poll the audience to see where they've had their previous dry needling experience from, if they were familiar with E-stim, because that's something unique to ICE Physio, right? Is we layer in a lot more of the E-stim application. And so because I think there was only about a third of the participants had taken either most of them were lower body dry needling with ICE. We spent a little bit more time. I have this one slide that goes over E-stim. So we spent a little bit more time there than normally I traditionally would have. But yeah, so that was good. I think my high and what I'm noticing about course creation versus just kind of regurgitating your content that you've made is everything that I have on a slide. I have done the research and I have extrapolated the content myself. And so it makes sense in my brain, and I'm able to kind of articulate what makes sense in my brain versus when I'm doing an upper or lower body course, everything makes sense perfectly in your brain. And then I'm just trying to figure out, how would Paul want this to make sense, which
That's a tricky
it is a tricky
game.
thing. And I will say, you're coming to my Raleigh course in a month or two, right? And so you'll see, yep, I probably say things a little bit differently than how you say things. And I'm excited for some of that feedback. But I think that was the high for me, is that my lectures, I did some review the night before, but I was able to hit the research points a little bit harder. And so that was a high for me. A low for me was my schedule. I was so overwhelmed on day one because I
had
thought
some long days. We were checking in via text.
Yes, I thought I got through. So day one is we do advanced anterior hip, advanced adductors, and then we go into abdominal wall. And then the first pelvic floor lab is right after lunch. And then I have a flex time of spine. I can either do that on Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning. And I was looking at my notes quickly before the start of day one, and I thought I got through spine on day one. And so we started spine probably at 4:30. I was like, dang. And I didn't know if it was just because I did that longer intro where I got more feedback of where they've done the courses, if I spent more time on the E-stim than I had done on the previous course. And so that was probably my low, is just that I had the timing off a little bit. We pushed pretty late. We went till 6:00 on Saturday, and
it's a heavy day of Con Ed.
Yes, but all but one stayed for the workout. So I was super proud of the team for doing that. It's not a mandatory thing, but we do pride ourselves on doing a little workout. There's a lot of peer pressure that goes into that. And so day two was a lot shorter. So, we ended up finishing a little early on day two because we pushed late on day one. So I think that was just something that I'm going to continue to work on is that piece. I just didn't.
How was the team morale? How was the energy when
They
you're kicking off?
Yeah, they were
kicking
good.
Off a lab at the end of the day.
They were good. It was spine, so some of it was review for people. We then we go into sacral, multifidus sacral nerve roots, and QL, which some people didn't have previously, but they were okay with that's the thing, as I was like, if you guys aren't all right with this, but if we get through this, we might finish a little earlier tomorrow. And so most people were on board with, pushing through. And what was nice is that our labs, we didn't have a ton of labs on day one. We had 4 labs, adductors and anterior hip are kind of 2 separate labs, abdominal wall and pelvic floor. But they were all they're long labs because of the intricacy of needling a pelvic floor is different. We also had groups of 3. We had 3 pregnant participants on this course. So they couldn't receive the needling of the abdominal wall or pelvic floor. So they had groups of 3. So it was really good. What I liked about the groups of 3 is the other participant, they were coaching each other through it. And so I was making my way around, but it's almost like they had their own little built-in buddy where they could, do that. And when I was creating the course, I kind of played with that idea originally, and I didn't mind it. I do think that labs just take a little bit longer that way, but so I didn't know why I was running into that end of the day, but again, they all did really well. Most people stayed for the workout. And then we had a big crew that came out to dinner with us too. We had about probably half the participants join us for dinner, so that was good. But those are my highs and lows, really. Is like highs, I felt like I hit a better nail on the head with the lectures. Low was my time management. Yeah.
I love that. And yeah,
Mhm.
I love the social aspect as well. Mine was a 3-day course, so we did the workout thing, the dinner thing both nights,
Yeah.
which was awesome. And yeah, just schedule wise, 3 days, there is no time crunch. We have plenty of time on 3 days to get through a lot of stuff. And I mean, our advanced course will essentially only be a 3-day offering moving forward because we do the upper and lower in a 2 or 3-day format, like depending on what your state requirement is. And even on upper and lower, between the difference between 2 and 3, we don't just water down the 2-day content on the 3-day course. We give you some bonus labs on the 3-day format, the foot TMJ stuff. We throw in some extra hip muscles. But this crew was largely a crew that only had 2 days upper and lower, which meant we had to fill in all of those gaps because none of them had a 3-day course on the 3-day advanced.
Yeah.
So we get through a lot of stuff. I mean, heavy weekend, but yeah, it's always amazing to me to watch that. I mean, love it at the end of the course when people are like, "Oh, thank you so much for your time and energy and all of that." But honestly, in my head, in my heart, I'm like, "You guys did all the hard work." Like, that's crazy to not only like be kind of hearing it for the first time, like the mental load of 3 straight days of Con Ed, but then practice and be practiced on. Like, that's a heavy 3 days.
Especially
Weekend
for
after
advanced, because talk through what techniques they're getting on those days. Like,
I mean, we do lots of like maybe more sensitive muscular regions, but then yeah, I assume you're referring to we do some nerve stim.
yep. Yeah.
We do tendon needling. I mean, even the foot, we go like so when I say it's a lot, I mean, it's not just being needled because I mean, when you do the E-stim, it's not as much like, oh, the pistoning caused soreness, but it's a heavy load on your nervous system
Yeah.
to look for nerve interactions for most of the weekend. I mean, I think we can all admit that's a different sensation. The nervous system response can be stronger. So, and again, I've been trying to think of like a low point of like homeboy in the corner passed out or something like that, but nothing like that group handled it really well. Like both saw people like more confidently and like approach these nerves and sensitive regions in such a classy way, like learning it for the first time. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember first time you did it, or I don't know if you've been on an advanced course and like you see people looking for nerves for the first time and they understand the concept, but they don't necessarily have the velvet gloves of our needles and E-stim that it
Hmm.
requires to like comfortably approach a more sensitive structure.
Yeah.
So they find the nerve, but they find it with twice the voltage they need, and
Yeah.
a little more tissue drag and like needle discomfort than is necessary. So I mean, it's a lot when you're on the course learning.
Yeah.
But it was amazing to see them pick it up so quickly this past weekend.
Nice. Yeah. I think one of the things that gets under my skin when I'm teaching is if my demo doesn't go as planned, and it really depends on your participant that you're needling, but supinator's one. If you can't hit supinator and you're talking through how to get it and you don't get it on the demo, it bugs me. That
I
happened a
wouldn't
couple
know.
courses. Oh yeah, you're so good. That's what I was gonna say.
No,
Like, did you have any labs that didn't go super smoothly or?
no, I was trying to think through that, and I know what you're saying. I mean, to be honest, I love when we have new TAs going through the audit because we don't always put eSIM on every needle for every lab and every demo necessarily, but when you're going through that audit process, and I'm the one looking over your shoulder to be like, okay, like giving you feedback, etc. I'm like, put eSIM on every needle, and what I'm telling
'Cause you
them
wanna
is prove
confirm.
it,
Yeah.
like prove
Yeah.
that you are where you say you are. And yeah, there are muscles like you said where even experienced needlers, very confident needlers, it's not 100%.
Mhm.
Um, Pat McSweeney was my TA. I mean, he's one of our lead faculty, so he did a handful of the demos, but I did some of the more challenging ones. And I mean, even adductor hallucis, pterygoid, pronator quadratus. I mean, I
Mhm.
I did crush it every time. Like
Yeah.
I was kidding at first, but I did not miss. And I mean,
Good.
even when you like place your needles and you're getting the E-stim clipped up, I just sarcastically am like, how to the group, I'm like, how badass would it be if I just one
Nailed
needle
it.
stim and just
Yeah.
crush adductor hallucis? And I did approve it. I did adductor hallucis in the second interossei window.
Oh,
So I'm like,
awesome.
if we get adduction of the first,
That's only
there's no
yeah.
doubt. Am I in interossei or am I in adductor?
Yeah.
Like when you do it in that second window. So yeah, a few mic drops, which is super cool and
Yeah.
not guaranteed, but and
No.
Pat crushed it too. But
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things is like even if you don't hit it the first time, being able to redirect or like you know where to go and get that. And that's something that people are often like, oh, that was so cool to see.
yeah,
So, and that takes some time to get there,
for
but
sure.
you've been needling for almost 2 decades because you're
Man, you
old.
brought that up
But
last time,
I
and
know
that's still I'm still processing that.
that's awesome.
So something that came up in like on the course, but in my mind is advanced. We do some nerve stim, we do the abs, we kind of do the deep hip rotators, like bullet point list. There's actually some overlap on advanced course versus pelvic needling.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe you do it similarly, maybe you don't, but talk to the differences of someone who's like, oh, I've already done rectus abdominis. Like, do you
Mhm.
hit it in different locations or obturator internus? Do you do something more pelvic? Is the approach different when you're on pelvic needling?
Yeah, so and I'm kind of playing with also adding something new to the abdominal region,
Can
which
you
I
share?
don't even know if we've talked about it yet. Yeah, totally. So there's this muscle called pyramidalis. Don't know if you remember that muscle or ever learned it.
Is
It's
it
a
a belly button
small,
muscle?
it's really close. Yeah, it's right up below the umbilicus,
Yeah.
attaches to pubic symphysis, but it has a fascial plane connection to adductor longus. So when we're thinking about like lower abdominal pain or like groin strains, pubic symphysis pain in folks, or even like bladder urgency, that can be a muscle that can be targeted. And so I'm playing with adding that because I talked about it a couple of times this weekend and the technique's not super challenging. It's just similar to like the oblique on the iliac crest where you hook over pubic symphysis and you're going for a bony backdrop there. So that's something that I think would be unique. And I think maybe a little bit more used in the pelvic space and you would use it traditionally for abdominal needling,
Hmm.
outside of the pelvic space. So I think what's different with the abdomen in the pelvic course is how I orient to like what we would be treating with this. So for
Yeah.
a C-section scar, the first place we're going to start is the muscles. And so I talk through, we're always likely going to be doing a bilateral setup with rectus and oblique or iliacus. Like those are the heavy hitters for that C-section scar. And then we also talk about abdominal wall entrapment syndrome, which can happen postpartum or with abdominal surgeries. And so I think that's just something that I've layered in as like why I treat these in the clinic. And I think people started kind of picking up of like, oh, I have this guy that has this, it has testicular pain and that how those nerves wrap through the abdominal wall. So that's just something that I highlight that might be a little bit different than the advanced course. And then for deep hip rotators, obturator internus is the deltoid of the pelvic floor. You think
Watch.
about
That is high praise.
it is.
I've
I'm
never
telling
heard you
you.
say that. I've
I'm
never
telling you, it's the same. So think about the shoulder girdle and like the rotator cuff. We think about those being like the finessers, right? Like they move that glenohumeral joint around, but it wouldn't be able to do anything without the deltoid. Like we would have a huge sulcus line. Same thing goes for the pelvic floor. There's almost a 2 centimeter fascial overlap between the obturator internus and the levator ani. So if we had, so there's research that looked at prevalence of hemorrhoids in folks, and one of the biggest things that
Mm.
the hemorrhoidal group had compared to the non-hemorrhoidal group was decreased cross-sectional area of obturator internus and then some lesions to the levator ani too. So those were like two correlations with that that group that had hemorrhoids. So I think that just talks speaks of like the importance of having that muscular anchor and strong, robust hip rotators that lead to improved performance of the pelvic floor. So that's something
Fascinating.
I think the obturator internus, like if you had to choose one muscle to needle in the pelvic floor, obturator internus is it. How we needle it is different too. So you teach the lateral approach, which is a
Mhm.
fine approach. We're going off of greater trochanter there. It's a little bit more tendinous there.
Yeah, I think we can
So
admit that.
yeah. And so the way we access it is more of a pelvic floor approach. Like it's going to be easier to access it undressed from the waist down, right? We hook, our goal is to sink a needle in the obturator foramen. So where that big muscle belly is. So how we do that is we
Mhm.
hook on the medial aspect of ischial tuberosity, sink into this little, what I call a sulcus. You feel like a little give there. And then our needle angle is going away from deep midline there towards that muscle belly. What's really cool is when you do like a bilateral setup, you have both of them set up and you get some like actual femoral rotation in,
And
yeah,
it's
from,
that powerful. The deltoid of the pelvic floor, is that what you said?
yeah, it's not even a pelvic floor muscle. So it's just a
Well, your next
anchor
step,
point.
if you feel that strongly about it being the deltoid of the pelvic floor, is to have obturator internus weak,
Yeah.
like deltoid weak, like shark weak. Like you need a
Oh,
weak,
I thought you meant weak like WEAK. No, you meant like
no,
WEEK.
shark weak, but
Yeah.
dedicated to obturator
Which
internus.
can go both ways in the pelvic floor space. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that would be awesome. That would be fun to do some posts on that and collab with Pelvic Team or something like that.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
I have not taken the course, but I've seen your flow and some of the lectures, and yeah, I think one thing you said that people are really going to dig into, especially for pelvic needling, is it's a little different than all your other needling courses. It's a little less of like, here's the next lab, like here's the next list of random anatomy, like this muscle, this muscle, this muscle. You've kind of packaged every lab almost as a pelvic pathology or a patient presentation. Like you're from the beginning, you're learning new techniques probably, but you're also learning immediately how to package it in the clinic. I mean,
mhm.
everything from positioning to the needle placement to the e-stim,
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
that. Because
And
I mean,
yeah,
any introductory needling course, that's by far the biggest constructive feedback is like, man, love the techniques. I think it's going to help a lot of people, but I wish we had more time for case studies or more time to talk about clinical scenarios and all of that.
yeah, we definitely get that a lot. Yeah, I think one thing that's also unique about the ICE pelvic course is the patient positioning, as you mentioned. Like how I was taught needling the pelvic floor was always in side lying. And I think that's great. I think it's the easiest way to palpate, ensure you're going away from midline and not interacting with pelvic viscera and things like that. But clinically, if we're thinking about clinical efficiency or bilateral, there's also research that shows that when we're trying to improve pudendal firing rate, treating bilaterally is much more beneficial in the pelvic
Hmm.
floor. And so that's why I've adapted the side lying approach into a prone approach. And it's not appropriate for every phenotype, every size of human and things like that, but it's way more clinically applicable. And so that was, I think, the biggest thing that the participants were like, I think the prone position is how I want you to, like, they wanted me to demo prone for all of the pelvic labs. And so I think that was something that was beneficial for the crew. Yeah. So, and we did have a male on the course. So that was interesting too.
Interesting.
Yeah. Great
And what
guy.
is
It was
and if a
awesome.
male is curious on joining, what's different, or is there a difference?
Yeah. So he was able to participate in any lab that that he felt comfortable with, would require him to bring, or like it is required to bring a female partner. And if you don't have a female partner, they're opting out of the pelvic specific needling. What was really cool about this crew is that all of the participants, they were open to, like, he was there to learn techniques. They were okay with him needling their pelvic floor. He opted to do the posterior pelvic floor lab. and then opted to not do the anterior vulvar tissue and stuff like that. So because he did not have a partner. And so for demos, he was listening to it, but he actually stood at the head of the table just to, respect privacy and things like that. But what's unique about pelvic courses is by the time you're at a pelvic dry needling course, you've been to a lot of other pelvic floor courses where you're end up being undressed from the waist down for a lot of the weekend. And so most pelvic floor physical therapists understand that there, may be mixed genders there. And so it's never something that I'm going to put on the participants of like, you have to participate with another gender. And so that's why we do kind of require the male to bring a female participant to practice those techniques on. But yeah, so it was cool. He emailed me, said he
Yeah.
got a lot more than he thought he would out of the weekend. So that was really,
Yeah. There's actually there was a guy on the advanced course my past weekend he's interested in it. So
yeah.
it's interesting. I mean, that's awesome. The pelvic tide is rising in physical therapy for sure. And it's not just females treating females. I still think female clientele are the focus, but really cool. I think you've booked April Dominic, who has built the male pelvic course that's going to drop with ICE soon. And I think that's the next wave of pelvic PTs. I mean, first of all, males having
Yeah.
the skills and knowledge to address it, but then actually treating male patients for it.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat with her in a couple weeks and see what
Will
that's
there
all about.
ever be a male pelvic needling portion of your course?
I mean, there is like a little lecture that we go over. We go over like the benefits of how it can help with needling for males while understanding just the conditions that they may come into the clinic with. And again, like how needling those specific muscles can be. I'll be honest, the main difference, there's two differences when needling males. Number one is just their pelvic anatomy is much more narrow. So like palpation is a little bit more nutty towards it's underneath the scrotum towards the base of the penis there. So that's just really the only technique that's different. And so I don't feel like there's ever going to be, unless I had a course that was all males, like there's never going to be a super long lab on that. But I have a model that I carry around with me. I flew with him in my little bag that has
I
the
saw you
male
on
pelvic.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Is
Male
that a
pelvic
conversation
anatomy.
starter when you're boarding the plane? Do you sit with it in your lap, or do you have to store it
I tuck it
underneath the
away.
seat?
He's under the seat for sure. But yeah, so there is a little portion in my course on male anatomy dysfunction and how we can help with that. But I don't think it'll be much more than that kind of going forward.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, where are we going to see you next? What's your next month or so look like on the road?
So I have a light this month. I'm teaching again in 1 month out in Denver for an upper body course. And then I don't remember off the top of my head what else is coming for upper and lower between. I know I'll be in Raleigh.
I was going to say, I'll be with you in Raleigh coming up.
Yeah, and then I'll be in Longmont in May, end of May for another pelvic floor dry needling course, so that'll be really fun. I love not having to I like the travel. You saw the little travel vlog from the weekend, which is fun, but it's a long day on the front end and a long half a day on the back end, so it's nice to have some local courses too. So that'll be fun. What about you? What do you got coming up?
Definitely feel that. Yeah, I feel all of that. I had a 3-day course, and I mean, live in Seattle, so West Coast to East Coast travel just is brutal. I don't handle that like I used to. And actually, originally, I was not even going to get home Sunday night, but we were wrapping up. Pat was kind enough to basically do all of the breakdown and stuff afterwards, which means I ran and caught the last possible flight out of Columbus on Sunday, which I mean is awesome, but that still means I walk through the door at 1 a.m. back home. Like you wake up 6 a.m. on the East Coast and you go to bed 1 a.m. on the Pacific Coast. Like it's Tuesday right now and I'm still recovering. So
Yeah.
and I just finished 3 out of 4 weekends. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm in recovery mode right now. I actually jump this Saturday out to Hawaii for the DPT program. They get
Cool.
a full day lab of needling in their TI2, so that's always awesome. And they have a badass team out there. I mean, Paul Minkin runs the curriculum, but then Brett Nielsen, Justin Dunaway, Emily Everett. So it's really cool, not just to do the needling thing, but I mean, get to work with folks like that.
Yeah.
And then when I come back, I have a home course as well in Bellevue, which
Dude, Your Bellevue courses just crush.
I would teach here every weekend if there
Yeah.
was enough interest. I mean,
Yeah.
I love getting to meet folks across the country, but that's why we have built such an awesome faculty coast to coast. Is I don't think I need to be doing the coast to coast thing forever. So yeah, I love digging in on the home courses. Every weekend is special, but yeah, when you're literally talking to folks that practice in the next town over, and obviously dry needling is pretty new for PTs in Washington. So just
Mhm.
to see just like the first wave of clinicians that are going to be able to use this with the folks in Washington, definitely get extra revved up for those. So that'll be my next course,
Nice.
lower, I guess. And then
Awesome.
yeah,
Well, cool. Thanks for having this chit chat. That was really fun.
of course. Thanks for your weekend report.
Yeah, I think I talked more than you did, but if you guys are new to the podcast, you can find Paul at DPT with Needles on Instagram. We're also, if you are an ICE trained clinician, we are always available to chat with you on the app. So feel free to shoot us any messages if you have any, questions that come up. You can find me on Instagram at Ellison_Melrose, and our joint Instagram is dn.icephysio. So hit us up. You can always send us things if you want to hear, if you have questions about specific things that we can do on the podcast. That would also be amazing so that we have some fun topics for you guys.
Yeah, love our times jumping on here, and Ellie and I will log on, talk, and just talk no matter what. But yeah, if you have a topic you want to hear about, or even if you have a guest that you would love to hear us ask the needling questions, please drop that. And we're trying to plan out further ahead. And we got some cool episodes coming up, but hit
Yeah,
us up,
cool.
and that's it.
That's it. All right.
All right. Later, team.